The great battleship Indomitable will cut through the silence of space. It was a dark, sharp blade against the sea of stars. To its crew, the ship was home. To the Galactic Imperium, it was a symbol of power. Here, on the rimward frontier, there was little to do. The frontier was quiet now, a place where ambitious captains were sent to be forgotten. Captain Kong Day stood on the command platform. He was a solid man, his face marked by years of service. He looked at the main screen, which showed empty space. He felt the quiet boredom of the crew around him. It was a dangerous feeling. Boredom made people careless. At the weapons station, Park Ji-ho checked his systems for the 10th time. He was young, with a fire in his eyes that routine duty could not put out. He wanted action, a purpose. He watched the empty targeting scanners with frustration. Still nothing, he said, mostly to himself. Near him, at the sensor station, Lee Soo-min did not look up from her screens. Her focus was total. Where Ji-ho was fire, Soo-min was ice. Calm, precise, and sharp. She monitored the endless streams of data, cosmic dust, background radiation, the distant light of dead stars. Nothing lived in this sector. It was a graveyard of old ambitions. The quiet is the mission, Ji-ho, she said, her voice soft but clear. Be glad for it. Ji-ho grunted. He did not like the quiet. Captain Kong Day listened to the normal sounds of his ship. The low hum of the engines. The quiet reports from the crew. The soft beeping of consoles. It was all so normal. So safe. He walked down to stand between Ji-ho and Soo-min, looking at their screens. Report, he said, though he knew the answer. All systems normal, Captain, Soo-min said. No contacts on any spectrum. Sector is empty. Weapons are ready, but there is nothing to point them at, Ji-ho added, a slight edge in his voice. Kong Day gave a small nod. He understood Ji-ho's frustration. He shared it. But a captain's job was to keep the peace, not to break it. Continue the patrol, he said. The Empire's peace is kept by our presence, not by our fire. He returned to his platform. The shift moved on. The crew performed their duties, but their minds were elsewhere. Thinking of home, of lively spaceports, of anything but this endless, silent dark. Soo-min saw it first. A ripple dot. It was a tiny distortion in the gravity sensors. A blip so small anyone else would have dismissed it as sensor noise, a cosmic ghost. But Soo-min did not dismiss ghosts. She leaned forward, her fingers flying across her console. Captain, she said, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the bridge. I have an anomalous reading. Gravity wave distortion. Bearing 027 Mark 10. Range. 100,000 kilometers, and closing fast. The boredom on the bridge shattered like glass. Kong Day was on his feet. Show me. Soo-min put the reading on the main screen. At first, there was nothing. Just stars. Then, the space itself seemed to fold. It was like watching fabric wrinkle. The stars in that spot twisted and stretched. What is that? A jump signature? Ji-ho asked, his hands already moving to his weapons controls. No, Soo-min said, her brow furrowed. The wave pattern is all wrong. It's too smooth. Too controlled. This isn't a ship exiting warp. It's appearing. As she spoke, the ripple became a tear. And from the tear, a ship slid into reality. It was nothing like the blocky, armored warships of the Imperium. It was sleek, a shape of curves and sharp edges that seemed to swallow the light around it. It had no visible engines, no gun ports, no running lights. It was the color of dark water under a moonless sky. It simply hung there, silent and complete. A cold feeling settled in Kong Day's stomach. Identification, now. Soo-min's hands were a blur. Running scans. No transponder signal. No energy signature on standard spectrums. I'm trying ultraviolet quantum resonance. Nothing. It's not broadcasting anything. It's just there. Size? Kong Day's voice was tight, smaller than us. Approximately 1/3 our mass. But the power readings, Captain, they don't make sense. The energy it's passively radiating is greater than our main reactor at full burn. It's impossible. Jiho looked up, his face pale. Weapons? Su Min shook her head. I can't see any. No barrels, no missile ports. The whole hull could be a weapon for all I know. The scans just slide off. It's like it's not even made of matter we understand. Hail them, Kang Day ordered. Standard first contact protocols. All frequencies. The communications officer sent the message. The bridge waited. The only sound was the nervous breathing of the crew. On the screen, the dark ship did nothing. It did not move. It did not respond. 30 seconds passed. A minute. No response, Captain, the comms officer said. Again. They sent the hail again. And a third time. The alien ship remained a silent, ominous statue against the stars. Jiho's voice broke the silence, low and tense. Captain, I'm getting a new reading from my tactical board. He swallowed. It's not targeting us with a standard lock, but a focused energy field from the nose of that ship has just formed a perfect, stable connection to our hull. It's modeling our structural weaknesses. It's locked on us. Not just aiming. Understanding us. The words hung in the air. Locked on us. Every protocol, every training scenario, screamed at Kang Day. An unidentified vessel with a weapons lock was a clear threat. The Empire's rules of engagement were clear. Raise shields to maximum. Kang Day's command echoed. Power all defensive systems. Bring the main battery to readiness, but do not charge it. Let's not be the first to escalate. The indomitable will shuddered as its powerful shield generators flared to life. A blue shimmer coated the hull. Turrets swiveled, pointing toward the strange vessel. The ship went from a quiet patrol vessel to a bristling fortress in seconds. The alien ship did not react. It did not power weapons. It did not move. It simply maintained its perfect, silent lock. Maybe it's just observing, Su Min suggested, though her voice lacked confidence. The lock is active, but there's no power buildup. No sign of imminent fire. It doesn't need a buildup, Jiho snapped. We don't know what it does. Captain, we should fire a warning shot across its bow. Show it we are serious. And if that is what it's waiting for? Kang Day countered, his eyes fixed on the screen. No, we are the Imperium. We will be disciplined. Comms, send one more hail. Inform them they are in restricted space and must identify themselves or withdraw. Before the comms officer could comply, the alien ship moved dot. It was not an attack run. It was a slight, almost graceful adjustment of its angle. The nose, where the targeting lock originated, glowed with a soft, internal light. The light pulsed once, a deep, dangerous blue. Energy spike. Su Min yelled dot from the ship. A beam of pure, coherent light lanced out. It was not a massive blast. It was thin, precise, and faster than thought. It did not strike the shields with explosive force. Instead, it touched the shimmering blue energy barrier, and the shield frequency scrambled, shifted, and then simply parted. The beam sliced through a gap no wider than a man's arm dot. It struck the indomitable will not on the hull, but on the main communications array atop the command superstructure. There was no explosion. Only a brief flash of molten metal and shattered circuitry. The beam vanished as quickly as it appeared. The bridge lights flickered. Alarms blared. Report! Kang Day shouted over the noise. direct hit to the primary comms cluster. An engineer called out from the station. The array is gone. No fire, but total loss of long-range transmission. We can't call the fleet. We can't call for help. We're cut off. Silence fell again, broken only by the blaring alarms. On the view screen, the alien ship once again became still and dark. It had not destroyed them. It had not even tried. It had simply removed their voice. It had made them alone. Kang Day looked from the image of the silent, sleek vessel to the faces of his crew. He saw Ji-Ho's rage, Su-Min's deep shock, and the fear in the eyes of his bridge officers. The Galactic Empire, the mighty power that ruled 1,000 stars, meant nothing here. Their rules, their protocols, their weapons were useless. They were in the dark, with a predator that knew exactly where they were. And it was just beginning. The silence on the bridge of the indomitable Will was worse than the alarms. The blaring had stopped, leaving only the shaky breaths of the crew and the low, distressed hum of damaged systems. On the main screen, the unknown ship hung in the void, dark and unmoving. It had not fired again. It just watched. Captain Kang Day forced his voice to be steady. Damage control teams to the comms array. I want a full systems report now. He turned to his left. Ji-Ho, options. Park Ji-Ho's hands were clenched into fists on his console. The sight of the enemy beam, slicing through their shields like they were nothing, had lit a fire of anger and shame in his chest. We have full power to main batteries, Captain. One focused volley. We can hit it before it reacts. Lee Su-Min shook her head without looking up from her sensor screens. It reacted to our shields going up. It will react faster to weapons fire. That beam wasn't its main weapon. It was a surgical tool. We don't know what its main weapon is. It doesn't matter. Ji-Ho shot back. We cannot just sit here and let it dissect us. Enough. Kang Day's word cut the air. Ji-Ho, you will hold fire. Su-Min, I need data, not arguments. What do we know? Su-Min took a breath, focusing on the streams of numbers. The beam it used was a modulated energy pulse. It didn't overpower our shields. It found the frequency and unraveled them at the point of contact. The technology it's impossibly advanced. But it's not magic. It read our shield signature and calculated a counter in seconds. Can we change our shield frequency randomly? Make it harder to lock? Kang Day asked. From the engineering station, Chief Kim Tae-won's voice came through the comm, crackling with static. He was down in the heart of the ship, assessing the damage. Captain, this is Tae-won. The hit was strange. The metal isn't burned. It's been precisely severed, molecule by molecule. There's no heat scarring. As for the shields, we can cycle frequencies, but if that thing can solve our encryption in real time, it won't matter. It's like trying to change a lock when the thief already has the master key. A new fear settled over the bridge. Their strongest defense was a polite suggestion to this thing. Helm, Kang Day said. Bring us about. Set an evasion pattern, Delta. Let's see if we can break its lock. The massive battleship began to turn, its engines glowing. It started a complex series of maneuvers, twisting and dipping through space in a preset pattern designed to confuse targeting systems. On the screen, the dark ship did not mimic their movements. It simply rotated on its axis, its nose remaining perfectly fixed on the indomitable Will's engine core. The distance between them didn't change. It was as if they were standing still. It's matching us, the helmsman said, sweat on his brow. Not with thrust, Captain. It's moving without moving. I don't understand the physics. It's using localized gravity fields, Su-Min whispered, her eyes wide as she interpreted the sensor ghosts. It's not flying. It's bending space around itself. Our engines are meaningless. The helplessness was a physical weight. Kang Dae felt it pressing down on his shoulders. Fight or flight, and they could do neither. Then, a new alarm sounded from Jiho's station. Captain, the forward battery crew reports a power surge in their targeting lasers. They were running a standard diagnostic sweep. The unknown ship is interpreting it as a hostile action. Before Kang Dae could order the diagnostics stopped, the alien ship reacted. A pulse of white energy, silent and fast, shot out. It struck the very tip of the indomitable Will's forward gun turret. There was no explosion. The entire multi-ton barrel assembly did not blow apart. It simply went dark and dead, its power and circuitry neutralized. Forward battery is offline. Complete systems kill. Jiho reported, his voice raw. All crews, cease all active targeting. Cease all active scans. Kang Dae commanded. Passive sensors only. Do not give it a reason. The bridge crew worked frantically to shut down every system that could be seen as a threat. As they did, Sumin watched her passive sensors. The ship is not powering up another attack, she said. It's waiting. It only reacted when we did something it didn't like. It's testing us, Kang Dae realized, a cold clarity cutting through the fear. Not just our technology, our behavior. This realization was shattered by a frantic call from the launch bay. Bridge, this is Launch Officer Choi. We have an unauthorized shuttle launch. It's medic Choi Ji-hoon. She's heading toward the unknown vessel. On the screen, a small, blunt-nosed shuttle shot away from the belly of the battleship, its engines burning bright. Ji-yoon. No, return immediately. Kang Dae barked into the com-dot. The young medic's voice came back, calm but firm. Captain, someone has to try. It's a medical shuttle. No weapons. It can see that. Maybe it will listen to a different voice. It was a brave, stupid, desperate act. The shuttle sped toward the dark ship. Everyone on the bridge watched, frozen. Ji-ho wanted to cover his eyes. Su-min leaned forward, her scientific mind warring with her dread. The alien ship did not fire its cutting beam. It did not fire a missile. As the shuttle came within 10 kilometers, a ring of distortion, like heat haze, shimmered around the dark ship's hull. A sphere of twisted gravity shot out, invisible until it touched the shuttle. The effect was instant. The shuttle's engines flared and died. Its momentum didn't just slow. It stopped completely. It was now locked in a bubble of still space, a fly in amber, floating helplessly 2 kilometers from the alien hull. No energy weapon. Just absolute control. Ji-yoon's voice crackled again, tinged with awe, not fear. Bridge, I am okay. All systems are dead. We are held in place. It's not crushing us. It's just stopping us. There was a pause, the sound of her breathing. It's observing. It's studying our reaction. It's not trying to kill us. Then, the cum from the shuttle went silent, either jammed or drained of power. The words hung in the air. Studying us. The alien ship had now demonstrated 3 levels of engagement. A warning shot that disabled communications. A measured response to a perceived threat that disabled a weapon. And a non-destructive containment of a curious approach. It was a scale of force, perfectly applied. Chief Tae-won's voice came back to the bridge, heavy with realization. Captain, I've been analyzing the energy decay from the first beam hit. I ran it through the historical archives. The base waveform, it's ancient. It's a refined version of a first-generation human fusion pulse design. From before the Empire. From old Earth. The silence that followed was deeper than before. The unimaginable alien threat suddenly had a name, a history. It was human. Captain Kong Day looked from the trapped, dead shuttle holding Ji-yoon to the sleek, impossible vessel, and then to his crew. The fear on their faces was now mixed with a profound, unsettling confusion. The galaxy had just turned inside out. The unknown was not out there. It was in their own past, and it was here, judging them. He slowly sat down in his command chair. The Empire's protocols were useless. Their weapons were toys. Their only hope now was to pass a test they didn't understand, given by an ancestor they never knew existed. Chief Tae-1, Kang Dae said, his voice quiet but clear in the silent bridge. Send everything you have on that energy signature to Su-Min Station. Su-Min, Ji-ho stand down from tactical solutions. We are not in a battle. We are in an examination. Let's try to understand the question before we fail it completely. The bridge of the indomitable will was a tomb of tense silence. On the view screen, two stark images held them captive. The dark, silent ship and the helpless medical shuttle floating in its invisible grip. Medic Ji-yoon was alive, but mute. Her last words, its stutteriness echoed in the minds of the crew. Captain Kang Dae broke the quiet. Chief Tae-1, explain your finding. In simple terms. The engineer's voice came through the speaker, crackling with a mix of excitement and disbelief. The energy signature from the beam that hit us, Captain. It wasn't just advanced. It was familiar. I routed the residual particle decay through the deep core archives. The base modulation matches a theoretical design from the early stellar expansion, period, pre-Imperium. It's called a Hahn-Meyer's pulse. It was a dead-end technology for us. Too hard to control, but this is that technology perfected. It's not alien. It's ours. From old Earth. The word ours felt strange and heavy in the air. Park Ji-ho stared at the sleek, predatory shape on the screen. That is not one of ours, he muttered, but the conviction was gone from his voice. Lee Su-Min was already diving into the data stream Tae-1 had sent. Her fingers flew, pulling up layers of historical files, myths, and fragmented data logs from humanity's scattered cradle era. He's right, she said, more to herself than anyone. The architecture is human. The logic is human. But it's from a branch of our family tree we forgot. A lost colony? Kang Dae asked, leaning forward. More than that, Su-Min said, her eyes scanning rapidly. They're our stories. Legends, really. From when colony ships went out with unreliable jumps. Tales of a silent sentinel or a ghost warden that would appear to ships on the edge of disaster. Not to help, but to assess. She pulled up a crumbling text file on her secondary screen. Here, a log from the colony ship Pioneer's Dawn, lost circa 215 post-Exodus. It mentions a dark rider that tested their ship's integrity before allowing them passage into a new nebula. They called it Kianma. Kang Dae repeated. An old term, Su-Min said. It means heavenly horse or celestial steed, a guardian of the heavenly realm. A tester. Ji-ho slammed a hand on his console. A tester? It crippled our ship. It has one of our people trapped. What kind of test is this? One we are failing, Kang Dae said quietly, his eyes on the trapped shuttle. It responds to aggression with precision strikes. It responded to a harmless approach with containment. It is measuring our every reaction. He looked at Su-Min. Find me more on Kianma. Find me a purpose, a weakness, a way to talk to it. For hours, the crew worked in a state of exhausted urgency. The alien ship, the Kianma, did nothing. It was a patient statue. Tae-1 and his engineers worked to reroute communications, but the damage was too perfect. They could talk within the ship, but could not send a whisper into the wider galaxy. Su-Min dug deeper, through archives no one had opened for centuries. She found fragments, pieces of a grand and ancient project. Project Kiangma, she read aloud, her voice hollow with awe. It wasn't a shipyard. It was an ethics board. A last-ditch effort by the first United Earth government. They feared we would tear ourselves apart with the new technology they were creating. So they built autonomous guardians. Their mission was to find human vessels that had ventured far and to test them. Test them for what? Ji-ho asked, his anger giving way to confusion. For worthiness, Su-min said, looking up. For maturity. To see if we had outgrown our self-destructive nature before we stumbled onto things that could make us gods. The project was supposed to be shut down, absorbed into the early Imperium. But the records just... Stop. The Guardians were lost. Or they hid. Kang Dae absorbed this. Humanity's anxious parents had left a babysitter in the attic, and they had just woken it up. And the test? What is the final question? Su-min shook her head. I don't know. The data is corrupted or purged. But it's clear the Kionma doesn't see the Galactic Imperium. It sees a human ship. And we are being graded. As if on cue, a new alarm chirped, not loud but insistent. It came from the communication station. Captain, the officer said, his voice trembling. We are receiving a focused transmission. From the Kianma. It's not on any standard frequency. It's using our old, hard-coded emergency beacon frequency. A channel we can't disable. Put it on screen, Kang Dae ordered. The main screen flickered. The image of the Kianma and the shuttle was replaced not by a face or a message, but by a simple, three-dimensional star map. It showed a location far beyond the Imperium's frontier, in a direction marked by ancient, dead stars. A single pulsing coordinate glowed. Superimposed over it was a string of numbers, a repeating mathematical sequence of prime numbers. What is that? Ji-ho asked. It's a key, Su-min breathed. And an address. The primes are a universal constant. A signature. The location? It must be where we are meant to go. It's a trap, Ji-ho stated flatly. It's the next part of the test. Kang Dae corrected, studying the simple, elegant data. It has our measure here. Now it wants to see if we have curiosity. If we have the courage to follow a mystery instead of firing at it. He made a decision. Helm, plot a course for those coordinates. Use the sequence as a navigation cipher. Maximum safe warp. Captain, we can't just follow it. Ji-ho protested. We have no idea what's there. Our weapons are compromised. Our comms are dead. Our weapons are useless? Ji-ho, Kang Dae said, his voice finally showing the strain. Our comms are gone. Our empire cannot help us. We have one piece of data from the thing that holds us in its hand, an invitation. We either accept it and try to understand, or we sit here until it decides we are a failed experiment and removes us. Plot the course. The crew moved, driven by a mix of dread and a fragile, newfound hope. This was no longer a military engagement. It was a journey into a forgotten past dot as the indomitable Will's engines powered up for a warp jump. The Kianma moved. On the screen, the dark ship rotated smoothly away from them. It ignored their weaponless turrets, their fragile hull. It pointed its nose toward the same distant stars. Then, with a ripple of space that made the sensors scream briefly, it vanished. It did not jump in a flash of light like Imperium ships. It simply folded itself into the fabric of reality and was gone. It had shown them the door. It was now waiting for them on the other side. The warp tunnel engulfed the indomitable Will. The familiar streaks of light offered no comfort. They were leaving the known galaxy behind, chasing a ghost from their own history. In the quiet hum of the bridge, Su-min looked at the saved data packet, the star map, and the prime sequence. It didn't even say follow me, she whispered. It just assumed we would. It assumed our curiosity was stronger than our fear. Captain Kong Day sat in his chair, watching the warp tunnel. He thought of Ji-un, trapped but alive in her shuttle. He thought of the perfect surgical cut on his communications array. He thought of the word worthiness. Let's hope, he said to no one in particular, that its assumption about us is correct. The warp tunnel collapsed, spitting the battered indomitable will back into normal space. Before them was not a battlefield, nor a fleet of ancient warships, but a single, impossible sight. A star, old and calm, burned with a yellow light. Orbiting, it was a world of gray rock, airless and dead. And between them, hanging in the void, was a station. It was not like the sharp, militaristic stations of the Imperium. This was a series of interconnected rings and spheres, elegant and graceful, like a piece of celestial jewelry. Its surface was smooth and dark, reflecting the starlight. It was immense, ancient, and utterly silent. Park Ji-ho scanned it immediately. No weapon signatures. No energy spikes. It's dormant. Lee Soo-min's sensors told a different story. The power emanating from its core is staggering. It's just idling. It's been waiting here, sleeping, for centuries. Millennia, maybe. Then they saw the Kianma. The dark, sleek ship was parked neatly beside one of the station's docking arms, looking small and obedient next to the vast structure. It was no longer pointed at them. It seemed, for all the world, to be at rest. Captain Kong Day felt a knot of tension loosen slightly in his chest. This was not an ambush. It was a destination. Bring us into a standard holding position. Do not approach the station. Do not power any weapons. Let's see if it talks to us now. As if hearing his words, the main communication screen lit up. This time, it was not a star map. It was a message in clean, simple text. The language was an archaic form of galactic standard. The root of their own. Asterisk vessel. Indomitable will. Registered variant closing parenthesis dot asterisk protocol. Kianma. Initiated. Test of worthiness. Phase 1. Reaction assessment. Complete. Phase 2. Intellect and unity assessment. A docking port has been prepared. You may bring your contained life form. The message vanished. On the side of the nearest station ring, a section of the smooth hull irised open, revealing a softly lit docking bay, perfectly sized for their ship. They have a name for us, Soo-min said quietly. They've been watching since the beginning. And they know about Ji-un, Kong Day added. He opened a ship-wide channel. This is the captain. We are docking with the station. All hands, prepare for possible external environment. Security teams to the docking bay, but weapons remain holstered. This is a diplomatic mission now. Chief Tae-1, you're with me. Soo-min, Ji-ho, you too. The docking procedure was automatic and smooth. Magnetic clamps took hold of the indomitable will with gentle precision. The airlock door hissed open, revealing a corridor of warm, white light. The air was cool and smelled faintly of ozone and old metal. The station's interior was a marvel. It was clean and functional, but the technology was a strange blend of the familiar and the impossibly advanced. Panels glowed with soft light. The gravity felt perfectly normal. As Kong Day, Tae-1, Soo-min, and Ji-ho moved cautiously forward, followed by a security team carrying the now conscious but weak medic Ji-un on a stretcher, doors slid open silently before them. They were led to a large circular chamber. In the center was a raised platform. Around the walls were screens and interfaces that came to life as they entered. The Kianma itself was not here. They were alone with the station's intelligence. A calm, androgynous voice filled the room. Asterisk, asterisk, welcome. You have demonstrated restraint. You have followed curiosity. Now, you must demonstrate the capacity to wield the legacy you seek. The test is in 3 parts. You may use any resource from your ship. You have one of your planetary cycles to complete them. Asterisk, asterisk, a screen lit up. The first test was a complex engineering puzzle. It showed a schematic of a broken power conduit, a blend of ancient design and hyper-advanced material science. This is a core system of this station, the voice said. Asterisk, asterisk, stabilize it. Asterisk, asterisk, Chief Kim Tae-won stepped forward, his engineer's soul captivated. He called up the schematic on his wristpad, his fingers flying. It's a feedback loop. The matrix is decaying. We need to reroute through a secondary phase inducer, but the tolerances are impossible. He looked at Kang Dae, despair on his face. I can't do this alone. The math is for a full team. Kang Dae nodded. You have the entire engineering department. Su Min, assist him with the theoretical models. For hours, Tae-won and Su Min worked, heads together, directing teams on the ship via comms. Ji-ho stood guard, feeling useless, until Su Min called him over. The stabilization requires a simultaneous power input from 3 sources, timed to the nanosecond. Our computer can handle 2. I need you to manually trigger the 3rd, on my mark. Your reaction time is the best on the ship. Ji-ho, surprised, nodded firmly. He wasn't just a weapon here. He was a component. On Su Min's count, he pressed the trigger. The schematic on the screen turned from red to a solid, stable green. The first test was passed. The second screen lit. This was a tactical and ethical scenario. It showed a simulation of a pre-Imperium colony ship, damaged and adrift, pleading for help. But the data indicated the ship's core was unstable. Saving them might mean causing a chain reaction that could destroy another nearby vessel. The choice was save one, risk many, or make a terrible sacrifice. Ji-ho stared, his old instincts rising. We save who we can. We take the risk. Su Min shook her head. The simulation parameters show the chain reaction probability is 98%. It's not a risk. It's a certainty, but we can't just let them die. Ji-ho argued. Captain Kang Dae studied the simulation. He saw what they did not. The colony ship's distress signal is on a loop. It's not live. And looked at the energy signature of their core. It's identical to the problem Chief Tae-won just solved. He turned to the room. We don't choose who to save. We fix the problem at its source. Stabilize the colony ship's core using the same protocol. They input the solution. The simulation resolved. Both ships were saved, not by a violent choice, but by a clever application of a learned lesson. The second test passed. The final screen showed only a single, swirling symbol, the same prime number sequence from the Kianma's first transmission. Asterisk, asterisk. The final test is one of intent. Asterisk, asterisk, the voice said. Asterisk, asterisk. This station is a repository. It holds the key to the Kianma project's purpose, a zero-point energy matrix. A source of clean, limitless power. To activate it is to claim it. But activation will send a pulse across subspace. The signature will be detectable by any civilization with rudimentary warp technology. Your Imperium, currently divided by resource wars, will detect it. They will come. What is your intent? Asterisk, asterisk. The room was silent. Limitless power. It could end the Empire's turmoil. Or it could become the ultimate prize, sparking a war that would shatter the galaxy. Su-min spoke first. We hide it. We are not ready. The Empire is not worthy. Ji-ho disagreed. We take it. We use it to make the Empire strong, to force peace. Tae-1, the engineer, looked pained. The technology? It's beautiful. To lock it away again feels like a crime. All eyes turned to Captain Kang Dae. He looked at the symbol, then at his crew, the angry warrior, the cautious scientist, the hopeful engineer, the medic who had braved the unknown. They were the Imperium in miniature. Divided, they would fail. He thought not of empires, but of people. We do not activate it, Kang Dae said, his voice clear. And we do not hide it. We safeguard it. We take the knowledge of its existence and the knowledge of the test back to our people. We prove that we can find such a thing and not use it as a weapon. That is the only true worthiness. We show we can be trusted with the key before we ever think of turning it in the lock. He reached out and input his decision. Asterisk, asterisk, safeguard. Do not activate. Asterisk, asterisk. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the central platform glowed. A physical data crystal, shimmering with blue light, rose from its surface. The station's voice spoke for the last time. Asterisk, asterisk. Assessment complete. Judgment. Worthy. You have chosen guardianship over possession. You have chosen unity over individual triumph. The legacy is not the power. The legacy is the wisdom to know it is not yet time. The Qianma will now escort you home. The crystal contains the truth. What you do with it is your final, ongoing test. Asterisk, asterisk. The lights in the chamber softened. The test was over. They had passed, not by being the strongest, but by being the first to learn. The return trip felt different. The indomitable will was still scarred, its comms array a melted stump, its forward battery dead. But inside, the ship hummed with a quiet energy that had nothing to do with its engines. The crew moved with purpose, not fear. They carried a secret. The Qianma, their silent warden, flew ahead of them, a dark guide leading them back to the frontier of Imperial space. It made no further contact. It had delivered its verdict and its gift. The glowing data crystal was locked in Captain Kang Dae's safe, its weight immense. Lee Soo-min spent the journey analyzing the non-classified peripheral data from the station. The energy matrix they guarded, she explained to Ji-ho and Tae-1 in the mess hall. It's not just power. It's a fundamental understanding of space-time. The Empire's factions would go to war for a fraction of this knowledge. They would tear each other apart to possess it. Park Ji-ho stirred his food. His old anger softened into a grim understanding. So we say nothing. We hide it. Kim Tae-1 shook his head. We can't hide it forever. And shouldn't. The test wasn't for us to be vault keepers. It was for us to be translators. We have to make our people understand what it means without giving them the gun. Captain Kang Dae agreed. Their mission was no longer patrol. It was diplomacy of the most dangerous kind. The moment they crossed back into Imperial space, their repaired short-range sensors lit up. A fleet was waiting for them. Not a welcome party, but a battle group. 5 sleek destroyers formed a blockade line, their weapons cold but ready. The flagship, the Iron Resolve, dominated the formation. Hail from the Iron Resolve, Captain, the comms officer said, tension in his voice. Vice Admiral Kwan demands an immediate debrief. He is insisting. On the screen, Vice Admiral Kwan's face appeared. He was a man with sharp eyes and a reputation for ambition. Kang Dae, your ship is damaged. You went off-grid for days in a restricted sector. The sensors detected anomalous energy signatures. Explain. And explain the unidentified vessel accompanying you. His eyes flickered to a side screen, no doubt showing the Qianma hanging silently beside the indomitable will. Kang Dae stood straight. Vice Admiral, we encountered a relic from the pre-Imperium era, a Guardian artifact designated Kianma. It engaged us in a non-lethal test of capability. A test? Quan's voice was dripping with skepticism. It attacked an Imperial battleship. It disabled specific systems in response to perceived threats, Kang Day corrected calmly. It then led us to a repository station where we underwent further assessment. Quan leaned forward. Assessment by whom? For what purpose? Do not play games, Captain. What did you find? This was the precipice. Ji-Ho, listening on the bridge, clenched his fists. Su-Min held her breath. We found a lesson, sir, Kang Day said. The Kianma was built by our ancestors to ensure we did not advance beyond our wisdom. The station contained knowledge. But the primary finding was that we, as a crew, were deemed worthy not by conquering it, but by choosing to safeguard it. A derisive snort came from Quan. Worthy? Safeguard? You are a soldier, Kang Day, not a philosopher. You will transmit all data and coordinates immediately. That artifact and any technology it guards are now property of the Imperial Science Directorate, and that unidentified vessel will stand down and be boarded. Kang Day didn't blink. I cannot comply with that order, sir. The Kianma is not a trophy. It is a witness, and the knowledge is not a tool. It is a responsibility. I request permission to present our full findings directly to the Imperial Council. You are in no position to make requests. Quan barked. Your ship is crippled. You will comply, or I will authorize the fleet to disable your engines and take what you have by force. On the bridge, Ji-Ho looked at his captain, waiting for the order to fight. But Kang Day gave a small, almost imperceptible shake of his head. He looked not at Quan, but at the sensor screen showing the CHEON Ma dot, as if sensing the hostile lock of the Imperial destroyers. The Kianma moved. It slid forward, placing itself between the indomitable will and the fleet. It did not power weapons. It did not raise shields. It simply positioned itself as a shield. Then it broadcast a signal on all frequencies, plain for the entire fleet to hear. It was the same calm, androgynous voice from the station. Asterisk, asterisk, vessel, indomitable will, status, worthy. Designation, Guardian. Threat assessment of new vessels, high. Intervention protocol active. Asterisk, asterisk, a single focused gravity pulse emanated from the Kianma. It did not strike the ships. It struck the space directly in front of them. The fabric of reality there twisted violently, creating a sudden, localized warp distortion that swallowed the incoming targeting lasers and sensor locks from Quan's fleet. Their systems scrambled, temporarily blind. On the Iron Resolve, alarms blared. Admiral, our targeting is offline. Sensors are confused. That vessel? It just created a gravity lens with pinpoint accuracy. We cannot get a lock on either it or the indomitable will. Quan's face was purple with rage and shock. The silent ship had just rendered his entire fleet impotent without firing a single shot. Kang Day seized the moment. Admiral Quan, you see? This is not technology we can capture. It is a judgment we must face. We are returning to core space. We will present our report. You are welcome to escort us, but you will not interfere. The Kianma will ensure it. The journey to the Imperial core was tense. The fleet followed, a chastised and angry escort. The Kianma flew alongside, a silent, unassailable bodyguard. News of the ghost ship that had humbled a fleet spread like wildfire through the Imperial networks. When they finally reached the central world, the council was waiting, not with soldiers, but with scholars, historians, and wary politicians. In a grand chamber, Kang Day stood before them, with Su-Min, Ji-Ho, and Tae-1 beside him. He told the story plainly. He showed selected, non-technical logs, the test of restraint, the puzzle of intellect, the choice of guardianship. He held up the data crystal. This contains the full technical readout of the zero-point energy matrix, he said. The room gasped. Greed flashed in 100 eyes. And it also contains the complete ethical and historical record of Project Tianma. It is a two-part key. The second part is useless without the first. We can add the power, but only if we pass the test. The Tianma remains. It is still testing. It will always be testing. A faction leader stood. And who are you to decide this for the Empire? Ji-ho stepped forward, surprising himself. We are the ones who were tested. We are not your judges. We are your proof. It can be done. Su-min added, her voice clear and scientific. The Tianma responds to unity and restraint. It countered a fleet, not with destruction, but with confusion. It is a mirror. What do you want to see in it? The debates raged for days, but the seed was planted. The Empire was in turmoil, but the turmoil now had a new shape. It was no longer just about power, but about worthiness. In a quiet docking bay, the crew of the Indomitable Will stood before the Tianma one last time. Their ship was scheduled for repairs, but they had requested a new assignment, a deep-range exploratory vessel. The Tianma's hull shimmered. A small hexagonal plate detached and floated to Captain Kang Dae. He caught it. It was blank, and a single line of text glowed on its surface. **** Guardian Station active. Awaiting worthy successors. ****. Then the sleek ship turned and with a ripple of space vanished. Its work with them was done. Kang Dae looked at his crew, Su-min with her quiet wisdom, Ji-ho with his tempered strength, Tae-1 with his curious mind, and Ji-eun, who had been their courage. He looked at the plate in his hand. The Galactic Empire was in turmoil. But on the edge of known space, a small unified crew looked not at the fracturing center, but out at the endless dark. They were no longer just Imperials. They were Guardians. And the silent ship had given them the only thing that could truly change an empire, a better question to ask.